Hey now, we're live, pals. This is a Brace for Impact. This is a Slammiversary post recap show. And I am your host, Mike Gilbert, and I am joined today by a very special guest, Canada's own Blue Jay fan extraordinaire, MMA broadcaster. He is the host of the Jason and the Gentleman, podcast on YouTube. Is Jason Hagholm. How you doing, Jason?
Mike, I'm doing quite well. I'm braced for impact. It was a anniversary like no other that only Impact Wrestling can give us. It was Slammiversary with the return of fans in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, man. And those fans were on fire all night. Thank God for those guys, man. I don't know if it would have been as a show without them. They were just absolutely great the whole night. I know a lot of the people there between me and DMing me during the show, and they had an absolute blast. And I think this Impact really delivered for those guys there tonight. So hey, let's go ahead and get into the show. I typically would start from the bottom of the show, but I don't know that we can start the show without going straight to Jay freaking White. Showing up right after the main event, right after a fantastic main event where Kenny Omega defeated Sami Callihan in a no DQ match. The Bullet Club member Jay White industry shows up in Nashville at Impact Wrestling, and the reason why I want to start this off, not because Jay White's such a huge star, he is, and that was a huge surprise, the biggest of the night. I want to start it off because I've been saying this for weeks that Jay White was coming. JD Oliva, my broadcast partner, made fun of me. Other people shot me down, but damn it all, he was there, and I am excited about it, and I want my respect. How are you, Jason?
Well, I mean, I'm good. I mean, put some respect on your name. But yeah, right. Jay White, he did show up at the end of the show. It looked like a bigger angle was about to happen with some people running to the ring that we just cut to black. I don't know if that was a strategy to get you to watch Impact on Thursday or what, but I mean, it can work in that sense. But yeah, Jay White's here, one of the best wrestlers in the world, and a guy that has a history with Kenny Omega before Kenny Omega left New Japan and eventually ended up in AEW. So, you know what? Impact, they get themselves one of the hotter matches for their titles going in, and arguably there could be a potential for one of the best matches of 2021.
Oh, absolutely, man. Other than me, and I'm gonna go ahead and give a shout out to Chris Samsa. He was giving me a little winky face tonight in our Facebook chat. So, shout out to them too. But I don't really think that anybody really saw this coming. This is a huge surprise. As far as surprises go, I feel like Impact over delivered. I know there was a couple of people that folks were really wanting to see. I think a lot of folks wanted to see the Iconics, and they didn't get to see them. There were other people, wanting to see Weston Blake, whatever. He's a good wrestler, but he wasn't there tonight. But as far as the surprises go, we got Jay White, we got Thunder Rosa, we got Mickie James. No Way Jose was there, but and just surprise on top of surprise. Oh, Chelsea Green. I'm sorry, Chelsea Green showed up, and then Finjuice came back, which was really cool. So since we Jay and we started with the main event, let's go ahead and get into Sami Callihan versus Kenny Omega. They had your typical Sami Callihan hardcore match. Callihan goes to the pizza cutter early and he dices and slices up Kenny's forehead. Kenny's bleeding a lot. Sami Callihan, he gets juice. He's bleeding all over the place. They're breaking tables. They got thumbtacks, barbed wire. They did everything in this match. 1,000 kickouts, tons of big moves, lots of drama. Referee bumps the whole thing. I tweeted out that you would either really love this match or you would really hate this match. And me personally, I loved this match. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, Sammy's got, a reputation of not being the best worker or whatever, but in a big match scenario, he's going to come out and shine. I remember was it Slammiversary in 2018 with Penta? He had that amazing match. I think that was in Toronto as well. He had an amazing match at Rebellion 2019 where I was at with Rich Swann. And just, these big match shows that he's on, he always delivers. And at first, I was in the opinion of I'm not really enjoying this because I hate seeing such a great technical wrestler like Kenny Omega involved in super violent deathmatch styles with like pizza cutters and forks. But you know what? It just shows, I guess, the versatility of Omega that he can thrive in that environment, especially with some of the better deathmatch workers of recent history, like with the John Moxley, now with the Sami Callihan. But I loved the match. I thought it was one of two reasons why you were going to watch this show, and I thought for a main event where you had a lot of anticipation for a quality match, I'd say they even over-delivered. And, I mean, you get to keep Kenny Omega around for another couple months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think, Kenny Omega gets to stick around for a while. I thought Sami Callihan was at his absolute best in this match. I thought Kenny Omega looked great, obviously. I really like the story that they told and the way they built this match, and that Kenny ended up going to the dark side, and getting extremely violent as well. And I for one, I thought Don Callis was fantastic on commentary. He was cracking me up all night, and he said one line that just made me almost spit out my water. He said that whenever Omega beat up one of the referees, Don Callis said, he goes, "It's okay. The referees are the lowest form of life next to announcers." And I just lost it. I thought that was hilarious. He was on his game the entire night, man.
Yeah, for sure. I liked when he got on there and said that, well, when you looked at Stryker and D'Lo, it was like, well, we got the B team in here now. Josh Matthews on vacation. So especially if you had to suffer through Matt Stryker all night, you couldn't actually agree more with Don Callis. We need more of him on their broadcasts because, the team of Stryker and D'Lo, they work, but just Stryker for 3 hours plus is just a little overbearing.
Yeah, I wish they would have had Morrow on this show. Although, like, calling hardcore matches is probably not his strong suit anyway. But he was such a breath of fresh air at Rebellion. And look, and I'm not an anti-Stryker guy. I can, like, he doesn't affect the show one way or the other. From like, if Stryker's on the show, I don't enjoy it less because he's on it, or I don't enjoy it more. He's just kind of there. Every once in a while, he'll say something stupid, and I just shake my head. But I think I've grown accustomed to him, so maybe he doesn't bother me as much as he bothers other folks, especially folks that don't really watch as often. So let's go ahead and throw it to Deonna Perazzo taking on. Jeremy Feinstein. Looking forward to Never versus Impact title match. Yeah, hey, hell yeah, dude. Let's do that. It's going to really depend on Jay White's Japanese dates. I know that the G1 is coming up in September. Bound for Glory is at the end of October. Maybe they can throw that in. Maybe they can make that work. I don't know, but I think that would be one of the greatest matches in Impact history. And here comes Parker Klein. Everybody on my timeline loved this show except for Parker, which is not unusual for Parker. I love Parker. But, let's go ahead and go to Deonna Perazzo and the surprise, which I didn't really see this one coming. I had a decent night guessing surprises. I guessed Finn Juice would be there. I guessed Jay White. I assumed Chelsea Green would be there. I knew Mickie James would be there. I did not see Thunder Rosa coming at all. People even tried to hint that, or not hint, but tried to predict that, and I would shut them down, and I was completely wrong. They bring out Thunder Rosa as part of this new working relationship with the NWA, the new forbidden door that's open with Impact. And I thought this was a really good match. What did you think?
I thought this match over-delivered. It really depended who the surprise was going to be. And when it was Thunder Rosa, I think everyone was a little surprised that it was her, but knew that the match would be great. And I love just the start of it with the technical back and forth, switching positions, looking for submission holds, trying to see who was the better grappler per se. And I thought their styles meshed very well. And it was a match I would, maybe down the road like to see again. But, NWA now coming in, it's more of a boost for the NWA, but getting Deonna Perazzo in their tournament will be a huge boost for them. And more importantly, more talent of influx now for Impact's women's division, which seems to just be right now lacking. Like Deonna seems to have just, run the gauntlet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she really didn't have any challengers lined up at all. Something happened to Taylor Wilde a couple months ago. She was on, and then all of a sudden she was gone. We haven't seen her since I think May, and so she really didn't have anybody lined up. They didn't have anybody built up. So I think that Thunder Rosa was the perfect opponent. And then I thought,
sorry,
whoa,
that's my.
Hey, Jason's dog, big fan of Thunder Rosa, and I hear Jason's dog is also a big fan of Mickie James.
Wow, that's a low blow, I guess, a little bit, but it was great to see Mickie James back. Yeah. I apologize for that. No. Some sort of sound has gone off, and my dog did not like that. But yeah, Mickie James coming back was great. Shout out to Hardcore Country. Mm-hmm. Love Hardcore Country, and her just being involved with the product again. I think it's the perfect fitting. And then there was a great little back and forth segment with Deonna and Mickie, especially the line about like, go grab your trash bag and get out of here. I thought that was, well done, and sets up, a match even down the line, maybe Bound for Glory time with Mickey going against Deonna.
Yeah, I think Mickey and Deonna is a really big match for Impact. I don't know if they do it in NWA or if they do it in Impact. Personally, I would like to see it in Impact because I cover Impact. So, just selfishly, I would like that. But if they did it in NWA, I'd make sure to go watch that match too. So we got Indie Wrestling King here. Says it's wild to think that Impact Wrestling is a crossroads of the Forbidden Door. Tony Khan gets a lot of credit for being the Forbidden Door, but if you look at the companies that Impact has worked with, just this year, you got AEW, and they brought over the AEW World Champ and brought them into Impact, and he's their champion now. We've seen multiple stars from New Japan come in. FinJuice was their tag team champions. You saw Kojima come in, El Phantasmo. There's been multiple guys from AAA that have come in just this year. And now you're seeing more, NWA talent. I think that Scott D'Amore and his team over there deserve a lot of credit for being able to build some bridges, and especially the bridge that he's built with New Japan that was seemingly had been burnt down for a very long time. To see the work that he put in putting that together, I think that he deserves some credit. Now, speaking of New Japan, we have New Japan Resurgence coming up, and the Good Brothers will be there. And tonight they won the next match I'm about to talk about, the 4-way tag team title match, where you had Violent by Design of Joe Doring and Rhino taking on the Good Brothers, taking on Willie Mack and Rich Swann, and then we also had Flava and the surprise of all surprises. They really had them on their feet with No Way Jose. He made his surprise straight from purgatory. He shows up here in Impact and is dancing around the ring. Comes in, and then the Good Brothers went ahead and got the victory. I'll be honest, not a fan of this match. Did not really think it was great at this point. I thought the show was dragging a little bit. What'd you think?
Yeah, for me, I was saying off air, I only really wanted to see the Ultimate X match in the main event, and for me, a lot what was in the middle was going to be hit or miss, and this was very much missed. You can miss this. There was a surprise, but the surprise on a scale of 1 to 10 is a 0.5, maybe even a 1 at the highest. And it was funny to me where it's No Way Jose, but they can't call him No Way Jose, so they just call him No Way. But when he got in the ring, Flava was trying to chant to the crowd, No Way Jose. So TNA never die with their logic. But all in all, yeah, this wasn't much of a great match. And you could really see the Good Brothers retaining, just going in, just looking at who was in this match. Maybe Violent by Design by some, screwy finish or whatever, but the Good Brothers retain, and more, titles back for this Omega Elite faction.
Well, I got to correct you. Violent by Design, they were the champs going into this match. And
that's what I'm saying, that they were going to retain.
I actually thought that Violent by Design would win this match because they just won the titles, and then FinJuice came back, and that's who they defeated for the titles. They beat FinJuice after FinJuice they were competing in a match already, and then Violent by Design cashed in their version of the Money in the Bank. It was a briefcase that Heath and Rhino had won last year. Rhino still had the briefcase and cashed it in on them. So what is Parker say? I think when someone loses the world title like Swann, you want to do things to keep him hot. Instead, he was an afterthought in a 4-way tag, including No Way Jose. I got to agree with Parker here, man. So, we had Rich Swann in the Rebellion match against Omega. And I'll be honest, Rich Swann did not look great in that match. He got his ass thoroughly kicked. And then from there, he goes on to face W. Morrissey, and he gets beat soundly there. And now he's in a tag team. And again, he is just kind of on the undercard. But, I think they had him hot for a long time, and they've cooled him down, and maybe eventually they'll heat him back up again. Who knows? But yeah, he's really lost some steam. And I think that's sad because, Rich Swann is one of the best wrestlers in that company. I know he came up short in that Omega match, but he's still very good.
Oh, he's super talented, and he has a connection with the crowd, which is now starting to come back in. And, Impact, they need baby faces in that top role to get another maybe match down the line. I don't know. I just don't understand why they had to go right from your wrestling Omega to you're in some sort of mid-card mediocre tag. And the tag with Willie Mack is fun, but it's just where I don't think a Rich Swann needs to be right now at this point in his Impact run.
Yeah, I totally agree. Would love see Rich Swann in a bigger spot, but then again, you only have so many spots, and he had the title for a while, and I think they're just trying to elevate other guys in the interim, and then maybe they'll bring him back up eventually, hopefully. So we go from that match. The next match on the card was Moose and Chris Sabin, and this one I thought was good. It did drag at times, I thought, but they were able to pick it up, and Chris Sabin got the win with kind of a fluke roll up. And I'll be honest, I thought the match was good. I did not like the finish. I don't like Moose taking a pin here. I just think that he is their guy in the future, and maybe they just disagree. I don't know what they're not seeing. So, but yeah, Chris Sabin gets the win over Moose. What'd you think?
I thought it was fine. I mean, I expected the hesitation. The styles, for some reason, at moments didn't really gel, and I hated the finish of like a schoolboy roll-up, especially on such a big show where this match actually had kind of a decent little build on television for it. I didn't like that as a way to, have the match end, and hopefully the story continues. I know they're doing another like Impact Plus show in a couple weeks, July 31st. So maybe we get another match out of that. But yeah, especially for Moose, who feels like a big time player and like the future of the company, especially since like re-signing with them. So I don't know. I didn't agree with the decision there. So I don't know.
Maybe Ross Foreman and Scott D'Amore and those guys, they listened to my show where I interviewed Moose, and he completely lied about his contract, and he's going around telling people he didn't sign. So maybe this is his punishment. He has to lose to a schoolboy, to Chris Sabin on a major pay-per-view just after being probably their top guy for a long time.
Hey, you got to work people, but it's wrestling. You got to work the workers.
Yeah, well, he did work the workers. He worked me and JD, so kudos to him.
That's not that hard to work.
No, JD got worked by those guys once before, man. He's susceptible to working. So, so the next match we got, we have Eddie Edwards taking on W. Morrissey, the former Big Kaz. Was this your first time seeing Morrissey in his new persona, his new character?
No, I watched him when he debuted at the Rebellion show, because that Rebellion show had a lot of buzz for it, much like I guess Slammiversary did, but I think the buzz is a little less. But yeah, I like what they've done with Big Cass as W. Morrissey. Like, they're really building him up as a big giant monster, a full-on heater. He's kind of got some like early Sid Vicious vibes right now, and pretty much in this match, if you watched, it was pretty much him just running through Eddie Edwards. Like, Eddie Edwards had very limited offense and went out there and just kind of beat him up for 5-10 minutes, and then was able to put him away. And they just continue to build up. I like what they've done with him, and I'm happy that he's having some success and seems to have found his groove, because he had a little rough patch there post WWE and whatever. So him finding a place in Impact right now and can grow, and there's some good people around him in that company to help the character grow, I think is a solid thing for him as W. Morrissey.
We got a comment here from Jack Murphy. It says Cass has done a good job, but I still feel that Eddie is the ace of Impact and shouldn't have even been in that match. You know what? So I disagree, but not completely. I think that Eddie is in that gatekeeper role for Impact, and he's a guy that he's in that Sting role. And maybe some of you younger fans don't exactly know what his role was in like the early to mid 90s, where he's like always on the cusp of becoming the world champion, but he's not quite getting there because they had Ric Flair and they had Hulk Hogan and all. This is Surfer Sting pre-Crow Sting, right? Now, he is the heart and soul of WCW, but he's more of a gatekeeper type. That's kind of where I see Eddie Edwards at, and I picked Morrissey in this match because I just see the way that they're building him. I think they're going to try to set him up for a main event run eventually. And if you're going to make a guy, if you're going to make a main eventer, you got to beat a guy. And that's what he did tonight with W. Morrissey. And that's what he did, 2 months ago against Rich Swann. So they're clearly doing something with Morrissey. So I was, if Eddie would have won, I would have been fine. But I kind of like the fact that they're actually building somebody. They're building a young star for the future, and hopefully they get this guy under contract for a while, because I think that he's been doing great. He's been doing great in Impact. His promos are outstanding. His body's looking fantastic. He's got those Decadura ballin', pimples all over the place. You know what he's up to, man. He's looking tough, dude. And I thought that the match, again, a slower match than what we have been seeing, right? He you had the Ultimate X, which was a complete sprint and just absolute chaos, and then you go right into the mixed tag match, which was short and fun, and then you get to this match, and it's a slower pace. It's a big man, little man. It's very hard hitting. I still dug the match. I thought it was real good, and Morrissey got the pin, and I'm cool with that, man. But hey, I absolutely love Eddie Edwards. I hope they start building him back up, because I think before Kenny leaves Impact, Edwards and Omega, they have to have a match. They absolutely have to have a match. I don't know that Omega can leave Impact without having a match with Omega.
I'd rather see Omega having a match with Josh Alexander before Eddie Edwards, honestly. I'm still mad at Impact for making Eddie Edwards this great, like, proper trunks, proper tights, kick pads to fucking jeans and street shoes. Like, I'm still upset about that. Ruined his amazing look from Ring of Honor and his early days in Impact with the Wolves, but now he's some kendo stick guy in a terrible set of dreadlocks.
So I think the hair and the facial hair works for me, because I think babyface Eddie, he just always looks so young, and he just didn't look tough. Like there was nothing scary about Eddie Edwards. I don't like crazy hardcore Eddie. Not my favorite. I like the in between. But I think I dig the hair and the beard. I dig his kind of multicolored jorts that he's wearing in his shoes. I dig that. I don't like him wearing the T-shirt. I know we're getting really nitpicky and in depth on another brother's looks, but I'm real cool with this, because I thought that Eddie's early Impact run, he was a very good wrestler, but personality wise, he was completely boring, I thought.
I think that was just him as a whole. Yeah, great wrestler, but he didn't have the experience of being in a major promotion with camera time, with promos. And I think he's obviously grown in that realm. I think he's a much better promo that he is now, can be, or was when he debuted many years ago, or even when his Ring of Honor run. But God, he just looked so much better and cleaner. And I just can't take him seriously in the damn, like, sneakers. I just can't. I'm sorry.
I honestly, I think that he's just more himself now. It'd be interesting. So I did have the opportunity to interview him, but I had to pick between Moose and Eddie Edwards, and I went ahead and picked Moose. But one day I'm gonna get Eddie Edwards, because I have 10,000 questions about him. He's been around Impact for a long time. He stuck around, man. Whenever they were completely going out of business, when guys were missing paychecks, when Dixie owned it, and then we thought Billy Corrigan, and then we thought those biker guys, the Harris twins, A-Ball and Skull, those guys, those idiots, they were about to buy it, and then all of a sudden, like, he was staying in through all of that, man. He was in all the chaos. I consider him. I put him on Impact. In this little bubble we call Impact, he is legendary tier. So he's right now the Impact Tommy Dreamer towards the end of ECW. yes, absolutely, man.
Look and all.
Yeah. Except for he's probably in pretty good shape. I don't know that Tommy, other than in like 1992, Tommy was.
Hey, Tommy was swole, brother, towards the end of ECW.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into the next match. We had a mixed tag. We had Brian Myers and Tennille Dashwood taking on Mid Cardona and a mystery partner, which turned out to be his current fiance, the Hot Mess, formerly known in Impact as Laurel Van Ness, the former Impact Knockouts champion, but Chelsea Green come in, cast and all. So she was on Ring of Honor this past Sunday, and she shows up there on their Best in the World pay-per-view. And if you have not seen that pay-per-view, go out of your way to watch that. That was an excellent wrestling show. But, Chelsea shows up there. She's got a cast on saying the Maryland Commission will not let her compete. However, in a month, I don't know if anybody's going to care about it in a month, but she said in a month she's going to be part of their Ring of Honor Women's Championship tournament. So I know people took that as maybe she's not going to be able to wrestle on this show, but she came in, and apparently Tennessee Athletic Commission doesn't give a fuck, man. They were just like, hey, you don't have an arm? Cool. You can wrestle anyway, chick. Come on in. Just don't get hurt. Hopefully not. They came in, and this match, stupid. Yeah. I honestly liked it, and I thought it was a lot of fun. Was the cup bit pretty hokey? Absolutely. I still thought that was fun. I laughed, and so that's cool. It's okay on an undercard match to go ahead and have a little bit of fun and to laugh a little bit, and I think they delivered, and I thought we got a good surprise out of it.
It was fine. I mean, the surprise all in all, when you think about it, makes all the sense in the world. Really wasn't much of a surprise.
No.
And it seems like she's still able to do stuff with Ring of Honor and Impact. I don't know if she definitely hasn't signed an exclusivity with Ring of Honor, because she wouldn't have been able to show up here tonight with Impact, but it makes tons of sense. Honestly, the match was fine. The storyline was fine for, I guess, what an extra week build with Tennille Dashwood being thrown in here. But I mean, yeah, it wasn't going to light my world on fire. All the match was about was who was Cardona's mystery opponent going to be, and it was his fiance. No surprise, but I'm more interested in Matt Cardona versus Nick Gage in the world of GCW than anything he's doing on Impact.
Yeah, so once we got the surprise out of the way, right, and we had the match for a little bit, could not stop thinking about how awesome it would be if Nick fucking Gage shows up with some light tubes and just bashes both their brains in with those things. Could you imagine the crowd?
It would have been on fire. It would have been on fire. It would have been totally unexpected. It wouldn't have been one of the surprises we thought would maybe show up or anything like that. I mean, you definitely didn't have that scoop if Nick Gage showed up in there. So it would have been cool, but unfortunately we did not get that.
Yeah, I tried to go through some of my contacts on the East Coast, but none of them had the scoop, man. So they wouldn't tell me one way or the other about Nick Gage. So, but I'm absolutely looking forward to the Nick Gage Matt Cardona match, because that's been probably my favorite storyline on independent wrestling, and I don't know, ever. You don't really get too many cool storylines on independent wrestling, and this is awesome, man. I don't even know when their match is, man, but I keep up with it on social media. I think that's going to be absolutely fantastic. Hopefully they hire a commentator for that show.
Yes, everyone hates the GCW commentary team with the cursing and whatnot. But you know what? The match alone, it will sell, and I can't wait to see it. I definitely think. I mean, it's the biggest matchup I think in recent GCW history since Gage fought Arquette.
Yeah, and I know we're spending a little time on GCW here, but fuck it, let's give him some love, man. Because Nick Gage got the Mid Cardona match coming up, and then he's got Mox coming up too. He's gonna fight him, so that ought to be pretty wild. I don't know what's going on with Tony Khan, man, letting Omega come in and face Callahan in kind of a death match, and then now Moxley gonna go face Gage. He's taking some risks with his two top stars here.
I guess he's just trying to be friendly with everyone and keep this open door or forbidden door thing going. But now that the pandemic's kind of easing and stuff, like, promotion's gonna have to just focus on themselves a little bit, like, eventually. Yeah. So I don't know how much you can keep this going and whatnot, but having someone be so open-minded is nice, considering for the past 15 years with one company with a red show and a blue show. That was pretty much it for 15 years. So it's nice to see the open-mindedness, but at some point AEW and Impact and all these other promotions are going to have to start focusing on themselves.
Yeah. Eventually, they're going to have to. Well, at least AEW might, and maybe they'll let some of their guys do some indie dates here and there, because they're only wrestling once a week right now, right? I know they added Rampage, and that's going to be a second, live event each week. I don't know how sustainable that is. I think that Rampage probably, much like what WWE does, will get taped before or after Dynamite eventually. Indie Wrestling King, GCW called out Kenny tonight after Callis mentioned Nick. So when Callis mentioned Nick Gage, saying that Kenny is tougher than him, I was like, dude, he's got to come in now. They have to bring him in. But we got Jay White instead, which is obviously still awesome. But I think eventually AEW is going to have to pull some of their guys back a little bit. But if you're Impact, they only have a handful of people under actual exclusive contracts. They're only taping once a month, and then earlier this year they did a super taping in May where they did 4 days and they taped 8-9 weeks. Plus they did almost like a pay-per-view taping too. So they're not working that many dates with Impact. So I think that it would be a lot easier for them to hey, yeah, you want to go work NWA, go work NWA, and then NWA, you want to send some folks over here. Same thing with Ring of Honor, MLW. There's enough space where some folks can go back and forth. But what I don't want to see is one guy being on every show. I think that, if on one or two of the other shows, I don't want to see them bouncing around to every show, because then you get that oversaturation thing. Omega right now is, when he wrestles, it's special, but an Omega appearance in Impact isn't special anymore. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. I know when he was showing up, it was helping bump the ratings a bit towards the end of last year, and now they've kind of flattened out with him being the champion, it's kind of he has to be on there. At least every other episode or anything like that. But I mean, I think I agree on the point of AEW because they're obviously the number 2 promotion in the world right now, and to an extent, and if you look at some numbers, they're gaining to be number 1. But yeah, they can't just let everyone go out there. But like, yeah, Impact's I guess at the point where they're still trying to rebrand or grow, even though they have access. It's still not like the greatest television deal in the world, and they don't have that much talent because they're relying so much on these other promotions, as we even saw for their biggest show of the year, Bound for Glory, where they promoted like, hey, AEW, AAA, and New Japan talent, they're going to be on this show. So I think that's where their mindset is, at least going forward. But even they, at some point, I don't know when, but at some point would have to just let's focus on Impact, because these working agreements aren't going to be around 100% forever. You can have your AAA or your New Japan stuff every once in a while. Like I loved when Tina used to do the World X Cup. I thought that was great. That made it special. But every week, just seeing certain guys here and there, maybe too much for people in this day and age.
Yeah, maybe. But I gotta say, man, fun juice, man, right? It was awesome seeing Jay White, and it was awesome seeing Satoshi Kojima. So I think that let's just enjoy it while it lasts, man, because who knows how long it's gonna last. But let's go ahead and get into our opening contest. We had an Ultimate X match. We had the aforementioned Josh Alexander, one of the best wrestlers in the world, Chris Bay, Trey Miguel, Rohit Raju, and Ace Austin, and Petey Williams, Impact legend Petey Williams. They had a hell of a match, and it started off a little rough. It seemed like they were feeling themselves out a little bit. They missed a couple of spots. I know there was one where Trey Miguel was hanging from the vine or hanging from the cable, and he tried to do like a Hurricane Rana to Rohit Raju that was going to then go into to Chris Bay, but he missed a Hurricane Rana, and thank God for Raju being a veteran, because you noticed that he missed it. He held on to the rope, and then he ended up just giving Bay a spear out of nowhere, and I thought that was kind of cool. The cameraman missed some stuff early. I think that he was just kind of like they were adjusting a little bit, but about 10 minutes into this thing, it became one of the damnedest X Division Ultimate X matches I've ever seen in my life, man. They tore the house down. That thing was awesome. It was great.
I was hoping they would start with this match, because the X Division and Ultimate X for the towards the end of, I guess, the peak of the TNA run, that'd be the match that would start out the pay-per-view. And I thought maybe this would be saved for second or third, especially because how they were kind of talking about it. But I was happy it started it out. Everyone worked their ass off. It was one of the matches I was most excited to see. And, give credit to Impact for making this match still feel special all these years later. I know they didn't have it at all last year. They had 2 in 2019. But this match is their original concept that no one else can do. It feels special every time they bring it out. And the matches are always fantastic. Like, there was a Canadian Destroyer off Josh Alexander's shoulders, which I don't even know how they planned that out, how that worked out, the physics of it, but it was amazing.
Yes. Yeah. That was one of my favorite spots. I legit jumped out of my seat, and they did, it was Chris Bay and Ace Austin where they did some kind of like where one guy was hanging from the cable and another guy jumps in and does kind of a diamond cutter type of thing. And they hit the mat there. And then the ending, I know you thought it was kind of weird, but it was a play on an old AJ Styles Ultimate X match where the two guys are hanging from the cable and they're fighting over the belt, and AJ Styles dove and grabbed it. Well, Ace Austin went to go do that as well, except for he missed and did a belly flop. And then Alexander was able to wrestle the belt away from Chris Bay and get the victory here. I love that Alexander is going to remain the champion. I know some people wanted to see him kind of move on, and as you say, possibly go up and fight Omega and be the guy to take on Omega. And I love that, but why not do it as the X Division champ and go for all the belts? Our good friend John LaRocca, that's his idea, and I think that that's a great idea. If somebody's going to take the title off of Omega, you had Moose take an L tonight, so and he's already lost to Omega, so I think I'm moving on there. Eddie Edwards, he lost. I think that the guy who's on fire and who is becoming the breakout star in this company, the biggest breakout star in this company that we've seen in a long time, he had that amazing Iron Man match with TJP. He's just had classic after classic. I think it's Josh Alexander. He's the guy. He's the guy to take the belt from Omega. I want to see Alexander and Omega at Bound for Glory if we can't get the Jay White match there.
That's what I was thinking. I think that should be the plan, is build Josh up for October to be the one to dethrone Kenny Omega as the Impact champion. I mean, you can see they've invested in him. Even if he have to be like, the stipulation would be that Alexander would have to give up the X Division title or something just to get the shot, like kind of what Austin Aries did many years ago, where he gave up the X Division title to get the Impact World title shot, something along those lines. But
Option C, they call it Option C. Yeah.
Make that a thing again, because it's shown it has a history of it working in the company. Go for it. And I mean, that's the one match I think everyone wants to see out of Kenny Omega's time in Impact. I want to see what he can do with Josh Alexander, and I was just happy to see what Josh could do in this Ultimate X match, because it's such a bigger physical specimen that isn't used to being in that type of a match, and I thought he did a great job, and I thought everyone did a great job. This match really over-delivered and set the tone for a fun night of wrestling from Impact.
Yeah, man, I thought that this was the perfect way to start the night. And then on the pre-show, we had Decay of Jessica Havoc and Rosemary. They beat Fire and Flava. Short little match. I didn't see this coming. I thought Fire and Flava would keep the titles, but not really much to the match. Havoc wins with the Tombstone Piledriver, and Taurus, big star out of AAA, is looking on from the outside. So I thought that was kind of funny, but so here's a thought. I think we just got a question. If they, surprises are great, right? But if they would have announced, say, Thunder Rosa, or if they would have announced Chelsea Green or Mickie James, at least one of those people, if they would have actually announced one of those new names ahead of time, which is something that I was kind of pushing them for, because I felt like, Slammiversary lost a little bit of steam from the build heading into it. Do you think that maybe, advertising a Thunder Rosa or advertising a Mickie James, do you think that would have been adding some pay-per-view buys?
I don't know how many extra buys where you're at with Impact at this point. Like maybe a couple, especially in the Hispanic market with Thunder Rosa, because she does very well with that audience, obviously being a proud Latina American. But honestly, I don't know. I think the whole goal right now is for Impact to use who's coming in and whatnot with this, that our world changes every July. I think that's their mindset going in. And I don't know how much those names really would have done anything to help add an extra few buys on this show. I think what you were buying this show for was the wrestling in the main event with Omega and Sami Callihan. And if you were an old school TNA fan, you were excited, like me, to see an Ultimate X match. Yeah. And maybe who is going to show up. Like, to me, that this year was like third on my list. Last year, I thought they did a great job marketing it, and they had, some bigger names maybe show up all in all. This year, I didn't think the surprises were that spectacular, but I don't think you would have added any extra buys, honestly.
So I think once Samoa Joe re-signed with WWE, and that was the big fish, right? If they could have gotten Samoa Joe, and if they could have announced that Samoa Joe would have been there, that would have been the guy to add some buys. I don't know how many extra buys you get with Thunder Rosa and Mickie James. Maybe you get 10, 15,000 out of No Way Jose. No, I'm just kidding. I think if you would have announced No Way Jose, you would probably lost 10 to 15,000 buys, honestly. But once Samoa Joe re-signed with WWE, they kind of quit teasing all of the our world changes, and with all the different faces, they just went ahead and teased some mystery opponents and mystery partners, right? And they kind of narrowed their focus down. And if you watched the documentary beforehand, This Is Slammiversary documentary, great documentary, by the way. The Dave Sahadi and that crew over there, they did an excellent job. They really leaned on, hey, we have a big time world title match that's going to be super unpredictable. And we also are bringing back Ultimate X, and that was the two things that they really harped on. They spent maybe 5 minutes out of that hour period, teasing all of the surprises. So I think, like you said, surprises was third down on the list of what they were promoting. And you're right. I think that every July, they're going to kind of have this, because I don't think these WWE releases are going to be going away anytime soon, because they're still, they lost maybe 50 wrestlers this year and they still have a bloated roster. So, for you baseball fans, April is kind of the beginning of hot stove season, right? And then it kind of trickles into July, right? And, Slammiversary. And then that's when you start seeing a bunch of people come in and, Impact starts turning their roster over a little bit. So we're going to get out of here in a few minutes. I just wanted to hit two announcements that they made. Bound for Glory is going to be on the road. They're moving to Las Vegas. Humble Brag called this a few weeks ago. If you listen to our show on patreon.com/fightgamemedia, every Friday morning you can listen to our show called Brace for Impact. And a few weeks ago, I went ahead and called this one. I said, look, no one's told me outright, but I'm pretty sure this is where it's happening. It's going to be in Las Vegas, man. And looks like I'm most likely going to be able to go to this one. I'm pretty excited. October 23rd. Now, for Bound for Glory, they got to do one thing for us, right? Actually, two things. We got to get Mike Tenay and Don West into the Hall of Fame, right?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. 100%. And I know Don, he's not doing well health-wise. He's battling, I believe, a brain tumor.
That's another reason why they got to do it now, right?
Yeah. And if anything, if Don's healthy enough, we got to have a match or two called by Tenay and West, because those guys are really the voices of Impact. And, it's crazy with Mike Tenay's career, with him being, on WCW during its peak in the late 90s, and his information galore of being just a big wrestling fan for especially the Lucha Libre, that he's going to go down as the Impact, the TNA guy. I think that is something that needs to for sure happen. And someone needs to interview Mike Tenay. And I swear to God, I'm calling dibs on that, because that man was the voice of many people's childhoods, especially helping and giving TNA early on a solid establishment of proper respect among the wrestling fans, because that could have if we had Ed Ferrara all the way through, I don't know if we'd have made it through those early days of Impact.
No, when they brought in Mike Tenay, he was the respectable announcer, even over Tony Schiavone at the time, because Tony Schiavone was disinterested, and eventually he was taken off of Nitro, right? So Mike Tenay was kind of the one guy that we all respected on that announce crew from WCW, and he came over with tons of credibility. And Don West had just this infectious energy, just super loud and legitimately excited for things that a lot of people wouldn't even get excited about, but he would make you get excited. So Mike Tenay lives in Las Vegas. I know that he is retired from pro wrestling and wants nothing to do with it. But, if, I know he's not listening to this, but, if somebody could get word to him, Jim Valley actually tagged him in a tweet directed at me. And I think it would be excellent. I know a lot of us that watched him for so long would really love to see him get his just due into the Hall of Fame. But hey, guys, I think that's going to go ahead and do it for us. I want you to go over to our Patreon, to Fight Game Media Network at patreon.com/fightgamemedia. The link is right there up on the screen. For $2.99 to get you in the door, you get to listen to Brace for Impact every week, and then every once in a while we'll do an extra show. We also have 5 Star. It is our new Joshi podcast with Scott Edwards and Parker Klein. Parker Klein's a big deal in the Fight Game Media world, because he also has another show called Dynamite, where him and Paul Fontaine, they cover Dynamite each and every week, and they do really, really cool reviews, great reviews there. And then if you bump it up a little bit $2.99, you also get High Tension with JD Oliva, my typical co-host on Brace for Impact, and he does a Japanese wrestling podcast with Japanese wrestling expert Justin Nipper, who lived in Japan for a long time, man. So he's got a really cool insight there. And then if you bump it up to $7.99, you get In the Clinch with Ryan Frederick. Mr. gets his tweets up on every UFC, and Paul Ace Fontaine, our brother from Winnipeg, a former co-worker of Don Callis, former longtime close, dear personal friend of Don Callis, Paul Fontaine. And you also will get a boxing podcast with Carlos Toro and Robert Silva. Robert Silva is one of the great boxing historians of our time, and he's an unkept secret that I think that once the regular boxing media folks get a hold of, they're going to love that guy, man. He is such a treasure to have on our airwaves and on our network at Fight Game Media. So hey, Jason, man, why don't you go ahead and plug your show and plug your Twitter for us?
Well, everyone, if you want to hear more great mixed martial arts content, you can listen to myself and Bellator bantamweight, the gentleman Josh Hill, every Tuesday at around 9 Eastern, 5 Pacific on our YouTube channel. Just search Jason and the Gentleman. The link will be there every Tuesday night, and you can watch along where we break down all the happenings in mixed martial arts. I know there's UFC going on right now. I mean, Miesha Tate, she's back. And apparently apparently Billy Quarantillo had an amazing fight as the Impact pay-per-view was winding down. So I'll probably go check that out after the fact. But if you want to follow me on Twitter for all my MMA content and even some more pro wrestling takes or sweet Mike Tenay memes that I tweet at Mike, you can follow me at J, the letter J, my last name Hagholm, Hagholm, and the number 1.
Awesome, Jason. And you can find me at GetUpMike on Twitter, or you can find my parody account at Combat Republic, where actually most of you people will know me from, because my other GetUpMike account, I don't do much with it. Also, follow at Fight Game Media, man. We got a lot of cool stuff going on there. But subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have videos coming up, 4 or 5 videos a week, and exclusive free clips from our shows that we do on our paid tiers. So that's going to do it for us, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Bye.